Hello and welcome to the Chesterfield Canal Trust AGM. This is a slideshow that represents what would have been presented at the AGM had it been held in March. It refers to the year ending September 2019. However, because of the coronavirus outbreak, life is very different to what we are used to, and it was decided to postpone the meeting until October this year. Needless to say, a recent change in the guidelines issued by the government means that we can no longer hold the October meeting. The trustees have therefore decided to cancel a live meeting and to show this presentation instead. The presentation that follows is a mixture of formal business of the Trust and some reflections on what we have done and what we were proposing to do during 2018 to 2019. The first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the last AGM held in March 2019. Normally, there would be copies of this to read and discuss, but this is not possible on this video. But the minutes can be downloaded from the website, and there are a limited number of copies available at the hub. Instead of asking the meeting to approve the minutes, as would normally happen, the minutes have, for this year only, been approved by the trustees. What I would like to do now is to talk about some of the achievements the Trust made during the year 2018 to 2019. The first is the appointment of our development manager, George. George is a civil engineer, and his job is quite simple: to plan the restoration of the canal. George is enthusiastic and professional, and he resides in an office in the stables at Staveley Hall. It's light and spacious, and I promise you there are no horses sharing the room. He's developed a good working relationship with local authorities, politicians and us, the Trust, and if need be he can call upon other expert help should he require it. The second is the reorganisation of the workings of the Trust Board. Bernard Caddy was instrumental in reorganising us, and during the year we developed 6 subcommittees, each with the authority to make decisions. They are Restoration, Membership, Hollingwood Hub, Publicity and Promotions, Boats, and Merchandising and Sales. The third achievement is our walking festival. We have had walking festivals for a few years, but our last was the most successful. I would like to thank Rod Orton and David Blackburn for the hours and hours they spent organising it. But their hard work pays off. 25% more people experienced walks around the canal this year than they had the year before. Fourthly, the green flag. We were awarded the green flag in 2018, but this was re-awarded again this year. It's awarded to community open spaces that are managed well. And I must thank Jim Bauer for the work he puts in around Hollingwood Hub and all the gardeners and litter pickers who keep the canal pristine. Fifthly, Country Fire. We thought that when Country Fire asked us if they could come to the Chesterfield Canal, our slot on the programme would be about 10 minutes. In fact, we occupied a good proportion of the episode. It brought us lots of publicity and many donations. Incidentally, Matt Baker became a friend of Dawn Rose. And lastly, trip boats. The 4 trip boats that operate along the whole length of the canal had their most successful season this year. We carried over 6,500 passengers, and our boatman has discovered, especially at Christmas, the powers of social media and its ability to track custom. I'd like to thank Shirley Atkinson for her help in training a number of us older folk how to use it effectively. So that's a summary of what we have achieved. Can I now share with you some of our plans for the coming year? by which I mean September 19 to September 20. Firstly, we are promoting our 2027 restoration appeal. This campaign is to raise funds to enable us to achieve our ambition of completing the restoration by 2027, which is the anniversary of the opening of the Chesterfield Canal in 1777. We all know it's a huge task, but we have every confidence in George's ability to complete it. Secondly, this year we are developing plans to restore the section of canal at Renishaw. This was restored a number of years ago. Unfortunately, it lost water soon after restoration and rapidly became an eyesore to the local residents. To restore this section would show the local community what can be done if done properly and generate lots of goodwill towards the Trust. Thirdly, we have applied for a large Heritage Lottery grant to restore the Norwood Tunnel. This was inspected by Canal and River Trust a short while ago, and the first section was found to be in good order. Incidentally, the photo on the left, which was also shown at the start of the presentation, is of the eastern portal of the tunnel. Fourthly, we would like to build 3 locks to raise the canal into Kiverton waters, and we have plans to convert this into a marina. I should add, as you probably already know, that our application to the lottery was unsuccessful. However, they have given us advice as to how we can amend the application, and we hope to reapply again. Fifthly, the Doley Valley lies within the borough of Chesterfield Council, and we are going to apply for planning permission along the whole length of this section. As you may be aware, this gigantic task has now been completed, and we are awaiting the Council's response. And sixthly, we will continue to look at purchasing land and property along the length of the canal. Some of you may be aware that we have already purchased the 2 properties shown in this photo. So in summary, these are our plans for 2019 to 2020. Moving on to finance. The income for the Trust during the accounting year ending September 2019 was £318,000. This compares with £256,000 in 2017. Our expenses during the year fell from £214,000 in 2017 to £158,000 in 2018, which means that our funds at the end of the year rose to £566,000, a 40% increase. Very roughly, our income comes from the following sources. As you can see, we have received a large amount of money in the form of donations and legacies. We are extremely grateful for these, and I would like to thank those donors and their families for their generosity. A snapshot of what we spent money on during the year is shown on this slide. All of the details are shown in our accounts. And whilst talking of accounts, I would like to thank Lorraine Watson, who stepped in at short notice to compile these accounts. Bernard Caddy resigned in September 2019, just as the accounting end of year approached. It was a hard and complicated task, but she succeeded. Lorraine is now, of course, our treasurer and has been co-opted as a trustee. The accounts themselves would normally be available at the meeting for you to study and comment on, but of course we can't do that here. However, they are now available on our website, and a number of hard copies are available at the hub. So if you would like to view these accounts, please access our website, and under latest news, click on AGM and annual report. At this stage, we would normally ask for any questions about the report and the accounts, but we are obviously unable to do so. If you would like to ask a question, then please email or write to the Secretary and we will respond to you, and if appropriate, publish the question and reply on the website. The annual report is normally received and approved by the meeting, but in today's climate and in view of the length of time before we anticipate normality returning, the Trustees have approved the report. The next item on the agenda is to review the composition of the board. Each year, 1/3 of the Trustees stand down and may offer themselves for a re-election. Kath, Ruth, David and Sarah are all offering themselves for re-election. We have also co-opted Mark Potter during the year ending September 2019 and Lorraine, Sentley and Rod during 2020. The meeting would normally vote on whether they should all be elected or re-elected to the Trustee Board. But because this is not possible, the election of those trustees will be postponed until the next AGM, which hopefully will occur in the spring. We would also normally ask the meeting to approve the auditors for the Chesterfield Canal Trust. But this year we have put forward an alternative motion. We would like to allow the trustees to be able to competitively tender for the auditing services if they felt it necessary for the year ending September 21. For this year only, I propose that the trustees vote on these two options. The decision will be published in the minutes of the trustee meeting. We haven't received any other motions to vote on, so thankfully this section of the AGM is not too problematic. And again, we would normally open the meeting to questions in general about the year 2018 to 2019, but again are unable to do so. So if you would like to send a question to the Secretary, then we will respond to it. This now marks the end of the formal business. As we have done for a number of years, we think about who we would like to recognise with the presentation of a Lifetime Achievement Award. And this year we would like to award it to a man who for most of his life has campaigned for the restoration of the Chesterfield Canal. He was a member of the Retford and Worksop Boat Club for many years. In fact, he was probably one of the founder members. He was also a founder member of the Chesterfield Canal Society and a long-time member of the Chesterfield Canal Trust. He has written a number of books, including The Chesterfield Canal, which incidentally we have at Hollingwood Hub. And in 2019 he was awarded the MBE for services to World War II evacuees. He himself had been evacuated from London to Sussex when he was only 8 years old. And in 1996 he set up the Evacuees Reunion Association. His name is James Roffey. James is now quite elderly and is pictured above after having received his MBE. It is with great pleasure that the Trust would like to recognise his campaigning for the restoration over so many years, and we will in due course be presenting James with an engraved platter. Well, I hope you found this presentation informative and not too out of date. Hopefully next year's AGM will be much earlier in the year and live. So thank you very much for viewing and goodbye.